Captain Hyun-woo Kim sat in his command chair aboard the orbital defense station Aegis Prime, watching the stars through the massive viewports. The coffee in his mug had gone cold hours ago, but he barely noticed. Life on the frontier was usually quiet, almost boring. New Busan colony spun slowly below them, its cities glowing like scattered jewels against the dark surface of the planet. Another peaceful night in paradise, Communications Officer So Young Park said from her station, stretching her arms above her head. She had been monitoring deep space signals for 12 hours straight without hearing anything more exciting than merchant vessel check-ins. Hyun-woo smiled. "Don't jinx it. I like boring nights." The peace shattered when every alarm on the bridge started screaming at once. "Captain!" Sensor operator Tae-min Jung shouted over the noise. "Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Massive energy signatures. Hyun-woo!" Jumped from his chair, spilling the cold coffee across his uniform. "Where?" "Sector 7, bearing 27 Mark 4. Sir, these readings are impossible. The energy output is off the charts." The main screen flickered to life, showing the tactical display. Hyun-woo felt his blood turn to ice. Dozens of red dots appeared on the screen, then hundreds. Ships were pouring out of what looked like tears in space itself, emerging from swirling dimensional rifts that shouldn't exist. "What in hell are those things?" So Young whispered. The alien ships were unlike anything in human databases. They looked like they were made of crystal and metal fused together, with smooth curves that seemed to bend light around them. Each ship was easily twice the size of a human destroyer, and they kept coming. The largest vessels were the size of cities. "Get me a count," Hyun-woo ordered, his training taking over despite his shock. "Still counting, sir. Over 300 contacts so far, and more emerging every second." Hyun-woo grabbed his communicator. "This is Aegis Prime to all ships. We have unknown vessels entering our space. All patrol units form up on the station immediately." The response came quickly from Commander Jin-Ho Lee aboard the patrol ship Seoul's Pride. "Copy that, Aegis Prime. Moving to intercept position with all available ships." Hyun-woo knew their forces were pathetic compared to what they faced. 12 patrol ships, 2 frigates, and the defense station itself, against hundreds of unknown warships that had just torn holes in space to get here. "So Young, open a channel on all frequencies. Try every first contact protocol we have." "Already trying, sir." "Broadcasting welcome messages in 15 languages, including mathematical sequences and universal symbols." Her voice was steady, but her hands shook as she worked. "No response on any frequency." The alien fleet moved with perfect coordination, forming attack formations as they advanced toward New Busan. There was no hesitation, no attempt at communication. Their intent was clear. "Sir," Tae-min called out, "I'm detecting massive energy buildup across their fleet. Whatever those weapons are, they're charging up. Red alert! All hands to battle stations!" Hyun-woo hit the general alarm. Throughout the station, crew members ran to their posts. "Get me Governor Chul-soo on the surface. We need to start evacuation procedures immediately." The governor's face appeared on screen, his usually calm expression showing panic. "Captain, what's happening up there? Our sensors are going crazy." "Governor, you need to begin immediate evacuation of all coastal cities. We have hostile alien forces incoming, and I don't think we can stop them." "Alien forces? How many ships are we talking about?" Hyun-woo looked at the tactical display. The number of red dots had grown to over 400. "All of them, Governor. Evacuate everyone you can." The first alien ships reached weapons range. The lead vessel, a massive crystalline dreadnought, fired without warning. A beam of pure energy lanced across space, striking the frigate Daegu. The ship's shields lasted less than a second before the beam punched through the hull like paper. The frigate exploded in a ball of superheated plasma. "Daegu is gone," Tae-min reported. "Direct hit, no survivors. All ships, evasive maneuvers, do not engage in direct confrontation," Hyun-woo ordered, but he knew it was hopeless. The alien weapons were far beyond anything humans had ever seen. Commander Jinho's voice crackled over the comm. Aegis Prime, we're moving to attack formation. If we're going down, we're taking some of them with us. Negative. Soul's Pride. Maintain distance and harass them. We need to buy time for the evacuation. But Jinho was already leading his small fleet toward the alien vessels. The human ships looked like insects attacking elephants. The aliens fired again, their energy, beams reaching across impossible distances to strike with perfect accuracy. 2 more patrol ships vanished in seconds. Captain, So-Young said quietly, I'm picking up transmissions from the alien fleet. It's not directed at us, but I can detect the signal pattern. What kind of transmissions? Tactical data, I think. They're coordinating their attack with mathematical precision. Sir, these aren't just random raiders. This is a full-scale military invasion. Another alien beam struck close to Aegis Prime, and the station shook violently. Emergency lights flickered as power systems struggled to compensate. Shields down. To 60%, Engineering Officer Wonsik reported. We can't take many more hits like that. Hyunwoo watched as his small fleet was systematically destroyed. The aliens moved with cold efficiency, each shot calculated for maximum effect. There was no anger in their attack, no emotion at all. They fought like machines. Sir, the surface! Taemin pointed at the planet display. Alien ships were breaking off from the main fleet, heading directly for New Busan's major population centers. They're targeting the cities, So-Young said in horror. They're going after civilians. All remaining ships protect the evacuation transports at all costs, Hyunwoo ordered. Aegis Prime will cover your retreat. Captain, Wonsik called from his station. If we overload our reactor, we could create an electromagnetic pulse. It might disable some of their ships. How big an explosion are we talking about? Big enough to take out everything within 50 kilometers, including us. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They were scared, but ready. These people had signed up to defend human space, and they were prepared to die doing it. Not yet, he decided. We need to see what else we can learn about them. First, there has to be a weakness we can exploit. On the main screen, the alien fleet continued its advance. More ships emerged from the dimensional rifts every minute, but something had changed in their formation. The perfect coordination seemed slightly disrupted after the human ships had fought back so fiercely. So-Young, did you record everything? About their attack patterns? Every second of it, sir. Good. Get that data ready for transmission. If we don't make it out of this, maybe someone else can use what we learned. The battle for New Busan had begun, and humanity was losing badly. But they were learning, adapting, and fighting back with everything they had. The aliens might have superior technology, but they had just met an enemy that refused to give up. Outside the viewports, more human ships exploded in the darkness. But for every ship they lost, the humans learned something new about their enemy. Knowledge that might save other worlds, other colonies. The invasion had begun, but the real war was just starting. Commander Jinho Lee gripped the controls of his fighter as he led the first wave of human interceptors against the alien fleet. His small squadron of 20 pilots had volunteered for what everyone knew was a suicide mission. The alien ships loomed ahead like crystalline mountains floating in space. Stay tight, people, Jinho said into his comm. Remember, we're not trying to win this fight. We're trying to learn how to fight them. Pilot Haiwan Choi flew beside him in her modified interceptor. She had painted a small Korean flag on her ship's nose, along with the words, New Busan Forever, in bright red letters. Lead the way, Commander. Let's see what these aliens are made of. The alien vessels opened fire as soon as the human fighters came within range. Beams of focused energy cut through space, each shot perfectly aimed. Jinho rolled his fighter hard to the left, feeling the heat wash over his ship as an energy beam missed him by meters. Scatter! Don't give them easy targets, he ordered. The human pilots broke formation, using every trick they had learned in training. They flew in unpredictable patterns, changing course every few seconds, but the alien weapons seemed to predict their movements anyway. They're reading our flight patterns, pilot Kyung-ho Nam shouted over the comm as his fighter took a glancing hit. These weapons are adapting to how we fly. Jin-ho watched 3 more fighters explode in rapid succession. The alien targeting systems were too good, too fast. Traditional fighter tactics were useless against technology this advanced. But then Haiwan noticed something important. "Commander, watch the big ship on the left. Its main gun just fired 3 times in a row." "So?" "Look at it now. The weapon. Ports are glowing, but they're not shooting. I think they need time to cool down after sustained fire." Jin-ho focused on the alien dreadnought Haiwan had indicated. She was right. The massive ship had stopped firing, even though human fighters were flying directly in front of it. The weapon systems seemed to be cycling through some kind of cooling process. "All fighters, focus on the ships that just stopped shooting. Hit them during their cool-down period." The remaining human pilots converged on the silent alien vessel. Their plasma cannons and missile launchers were primitive compared to alien technology, but they were still weapons. The concentrated fire from 8 fighters managed to penetrate the alien ship's shields and cause visible damage to its hull. The alien vessel shuddered under the assault, venting atmosphere from several breaches. It was the first real damage the humans had inflicted. "We hurt it!" Haiwan yelled. "We actually hurt the damn thing," but their victory was short-lived. Other alien ships moved to protect their damaged companion, and the energy beams started flying again. 2 more human fighters were destroyed in seconds. Back on Aegis Prime, tactical analyst Dongmin Yoon watched the battle through the sensor feeds. He was a quiet man who preferred computers to people, but his analytical mind was perfectly suited for finding patterns in chaos. "Captain Kim," Dongmin called across the bridge, "I'm seeing something interesting in the fighter engagement. Data." Captain Hyunwoo hurried over to Dongmin's station. "What have you found?" "The alien weapons have a mandatory cooling cycle after firing continuously for approximately 8 seconds. During the cooling period, which lasts 4 seconds, they cannot fire at all." "Are you certain?" "I've analyzed 17 separate engagements. The pattern is consistent across all alien vessel classes." Dongmin pulled up a tactical display showing the firing patterns. "Look here. Each time an alien ship fires continuously, there's always a 4-second gap before it can fire again." Hyunwoo grabbed his communicator. "All ships, this is Aegis Prime. We've identified a weakness in their weapon systems. Attack in 8-second bursts, then retreat. They need 4 seconds to cool down between firing cycles." Commander Jin-ho received the message just as another fighter pilot died beside him. Only 6 human fighters remained from the original 20. But now, they had something to work with. "You heard the captain. New tactics, people. Hit them hard for 8 seconds, then get out of range. Wait for the cooldown, then hit them again." The surviving pilots regrouped and attacked the nearest alien cruiser using the new strategy. They flew in fast, concentrating their fire for exactly 8 seconds, then broke away at maximum speed. Just as Dongmin had predicted, the alien ship stopped firing after 8 seconds, and didn't resume for 4 more seconds. During those 4 precious seconds of safety, the human fighters could reposition for another attack run. It wasn't much of an advantage, but it was something. "It's working," pilot Sung-ho Park reported. "Their shields are weakening." But even with their new tactics, the humans were still vastly outnumbered and outgunned. The alien fleet had hundreds of ships, while the human defenders were down to less than 6 operational vessels. Another alien beam found its target. Pilot Min Seo Kim's fighter disappeared in a ball of fire, leaving only 5 human fighters still flying. "Commander, we can't keep this up much longer," Haiwan said. Her fighter had taken damage, and one of her engines was running hot. "Maybe it's time to try something desperate." Jin-ho knew what she meant. Every fighter pilot carried a manual override for their reactor core. In extreme circumstances, they could overload the reactor and turn their ship into a guided missile. It was a one-way trip, but it could potentially destroy even a large alien vessel. "All fighters, this is Commander Lee," he announced. Prepare for final approach. We're going to ram the big one." "Sir," Pilot J1O protested, "there has to be another way." "Look around, O. We're the last line of defense. If we don't stop them here, those ships will reach the evacuation transports." Jinho's voice was calm and steady. "This is what we signed up for." The 5 remaining fighters formed up for their final attack. They would target the largest alien dreadnought, the one that seemed to be coordinating the fleet's movements. If they could destroy the command ship, it might disrupt the alien formation long enough for more civilians to escape. "For New Busan!" Heywan shouted as the fighters accelerated toward the alien flagship. The massive crystalline ship seemed to sense their intent. Every weapon on its hull turned toward the approaching fighters. Energy beams lit up space like deadly fireworks. Pilot O's fighter was hit first, spinning out of control before exploding. Pilot Park followed seconds later, his ship vaporized by a direct hit. But the remaining 3 fighters kept coming. "Reactors to overload," Jinho ordered. "Set detonation for impact." Heywan's ship was hit just before she reached the alien hull. Her fighter crashed into the dreadnought's side and exploded, creating a massive hole in the alien ship's armor. The explosion was so bright that it temporarily blinded the sensors on nearby ships. Pilot Kyung-ho Nam followed her in, his damaged fighter slamming into the same breach Heywan had created. The second explosion reached deeper into the alien ship, causing secondary explosions throughout its structure. Jinho was the last one alive. His fighter had lost all shields and most of its armor, but the engines still worked. He aimed for the alien ship's bridge and pushed his reactor past the red line. "This is for everyone who didn't make it home," he whispered. His fighter struck the alien command center and detonated. The combined force of 3 reactor explosions finally broke the massive dreadnought in half. The alien flagship, over 2 kilometers long, split apart and died in the darkness of space. For the first time since the battle began, the alien fleet hesitated. Their perfect formation wavered as ships moved to avoid the debris from their destroyed flagship. The loss of their command vessel had clearly surprised them. On Aegis Prime, Captain Hyunwoo watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. "Dong-min, are you recording all of this?" "Every second, Captain. The aliens definitely didn't expect suicide attacks. Look at their formation. They're pulling back from our remaining ships." "Good. Get this data ready for transmission. Other colonies need to know what we've learned." Hyunwoo looked at the dwindling red dots that represented his fleet. "And Dong-min? Make sure the records show that Commander Lee and his pilots died as heroes." The first engagement was over, but the battle for New Busan was just beginning. The neutral station called Harmony Point hung in space like a metal flower, its 12 arms stretched out from a central hub, each one designed to welcome ships from different species. Some arms had docking ports for the crystal ships of the ethereals. Others had magnetic clamps for the metal vessels of the mechanical synth. One arm was even filled with liquid for the aquatic depths dwellers. Ambassador Kim Dong-woo stood on the bridge of the Aurora's Dream and stared at the massive station. He was a calm man with gray hair and kind eyes. For 20 years, he had helped solve problems between different groups of humans. Now he would try to make friends with aliens. "It's beautiful," he said softly. Captain Lee nodded. "And big. I count. At least 30 alien ships docked there." "All here to meet us," Dr. Kang added. She sounded nervous. The Aurora's Dream moved slowly toward an empty docking arm. As they got closer, Ambassador Kim could see aliens watching them through the station's windows. Some looked like giant insects. Others were tall and thin like walking trees. A few seemed to be made of living metal. "Remember," Ambassador Kim said to his team, "we represent all of humanity today. Let's make them proud." The docking process was smooth. The station's computers had quickly figured out how to connect with the human ship. Within an hour, Ambassador Kim was walking through the station's corridors with Captain Lee, Dr. Kang, and engineer Yoon Ji-hee. The main meeting room was huge. Representatives from 12 different species sat around a circular table. Ambassador. Kim tried not to stare, but it was hard. He had dreamed about this moment his whole life. Commander Velthar stood up to greet them. His reptilian features looked fierce, but his voice was polite. Welcome to Harmony Point. I am Commander Velthar of the Saurian Empire. We speak for the Galactic Confederation today. Thank you, Ambassador Kim replied. I am Kim Dong-woo, speaking for humanity and the planet Earth. We are honored to meet you. The formal introductions took an hour. Each species had its own way of showing respect. The ethereals sang a welcoming song that sounded like wind chimes. The insect swarms clicked their mandibles in a complex rhythm. The mechanical synth projected holographic patterns. When the ceremonies were finished, the real meeting began. We are very curious about your species, said Dr. Kelnara, the Confederation's chief scientist. She was an ethereal, tall and thin with skin that seemed to glow softly. Your technology is unusual. Dr. Kang leaned forward eagerly. We're curious about yours, too. We detected at least 6 different types of faster-than-light drives on the ships here. Dark matter manipulation, quantum tunneling, dimensional folding. Very impressive. Dr. Kelnara tilted her head. You speak as if these are advanced technologies. But your own ship travels faster than light using what appears to be simple fusion power. How is this possible? Dr. Kang looked confused. Simple. Fusion. Oh, you mean our reactor. Yes, that just provides power for the ship's systems. Our faster-than-light travel uses the reality adjustment field. Reality adjustment field? Yes. We create a small bubble of altered space-time around our ship. Inside the bubble, the physics are slightly different. We convince the universe that we're not actually moving, so we can travel faster than light without violating relativity. The room fell silent. Dr. Kelnara's glow flickered with what humans would later learn was extreme confusion. You alter space-time directly? Dr. Kelnara asked slowly. Well, yes. Doesn't everyone? I mean, how else would you travel faster than light? Commander Velthar exchanged glances with the other alien representatives. Most species use exotic matter to create tunnels through space or manipulate quantum fields to fold distances. Now, it was Dr. Kang's turn to look confused. But that's so complicated. Why not just change the local physics instead? Before anyone could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the station. The lights flickered and several alien devices stopped working. Power failure in Section 7, announced the station's computer. Backup systems failing. Emergency repair teams to Section 7. Engineer Yoon Ji-hee stood up immediately. Can we help? Commander Velthar looked surprised. You have experience with our technology? Well, no, but energy is energy. Mind if I take a look? The aliens led them to Section 7, where the main power distribution center was sparking and smoking. Several alien engineers were working frantically, but nothing they tried seemed to help. Yoon Ji-hee studied the problem for a few minutes. The power flow was unstable, causing feedback loops that damaged the circuits faster than they could be repaired. I think I can fix this, she said. She pulled out the small device she had built as a gift for the aliens. It looked like a simple metal box with a few buttons and a screen. What is that? Asked Chief Engineer Thoxall, a member of the mechanical synth whose body was made of living metal. Just a little repair tool, Yoon replied. She attached the device to the damaged power junction and pressed a few buttons. Immediately, the sparking stopped. The lights became steady. The damaged circuits began working normally again. The alien engineers stared in shock. "How did you do that?" Chief Engineer Thoxall asked. "I created a small reality adjustment field around the damaged area," Yoon explained. "Inside the field, the circuits think they're working perfectly, so they do. The field will hold until you can make proper repairs." Dr. Kelnara was flashing through colors that humans had never seen before. "You can create localized space-time alterations with a handheld device?" "Sure. It's not very powerful, but it's useful for emergency repairs." The aliens looked at each other with expressions that clearly meant the same thing in any species. "What have we gotten ourselves into?" Commander Velthar recovered first. "This is most impressive. Your technology is very efficient." Ambassador Kim smiled. "We're happy to share. That's why we came to space, to meet new friends and learn from each other." "Yes," Dr. Kelnara said faintly. "Learn from each other." The meeting continued, but the atmosphere had changed. The aliens asked more and more questions about human technology. How did the reality adjustment field work? How much energy did it require? Could it be scaled up to larger sizes? Dr. Kang answered as best she could, but she was getting more confused. These aliens had technology that seemed far more advanced than anything humans had built. Dark matter, engines, quantum computers, dimensional drives, yet they seemed amazed by human technology that Dr. Kang considered basic. "I don't understand," she finally said. "Your ships use exotic matter and quantum manipulation. That's much more advanced than our reality fields." Dr. Kelnara's glow had settled into a steady purple that indicated deep thought. "Perhaps we should explain something about galactic history. For millions of years, all known species have followed the same technological path. First, we learned to manipulate energy efficiently. Then, we learned to manipulate matter at the quantum level. Finally, we learned to manipulate space and time indirectly through the use of exotic matter and quantum fields." "Sounds logical," Ambassador Kim said. "Yes, but your species appears to have developed direct space-time manipulation without first mastering energy and matter manipulation to our level. This should be impossible." Engineer Yoon looked puzzled. "Why impossible? Space-time is just another thing to work with, like metal or electricity." The aliens exchanged looks again. Captain Lee was beginning to understand that something very unusual was happening. "Are you saying that humans do something differently than other species?" Commander Velthar chose his words carefully. "It appears that humans have a unique approach to understanding the universe, an approach that we have never encountered before." "Is that bad?" Ambassador Kim asked. "No," Dr. Kelnara said quickly. "Not bad, just, unexpected. Very unexpected." As the meeting continued, more alien scientists arrived at the station. Word was spreading through the galaxy that the new species called humans had technology that defied everything the Confederation thought they knew about physics. Some aliens were excited by the possibilities. Others were worried about the implications. A few were scared about what this might mean for the balance of power in the galaxy, but all of them agreed on one thing. First contact with humanity was going to change everything. Engineer Yoon packed up her repair tool, unaware that the small device was already being discussed in emergency sessions across half the galaxy. Dr. Kang prepared to give more presentations about human science, not knowing that her simple explanations were causing physics professors to question everything they had taught for centuries. And Ambassador Kim planned the next steps for human-alien relations. not realizing that humanity had just announced itself as the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. The meeting at Harmony Point was supposed to be a simple first contact. Instead, it had become the moment when the galaxy discovered that everything they thought they knew about technology was wrong. Communications specialist Jae-Sung Kwon crawled through the wreckage of Aegis Prime's communication array, sparks flying around him as damaged systems struggled to function. The alien jamming field was so strong that normal radio transmissions couldn't penetrate it, but he had an idea that might work. "Captain," he called over the noise of alarms and explosions, "I think I can jury-rig a quantum entanglement transmitter using parts from the destroyed sections." Captain Hyun-Woo Kim looked skeptical. "Jae-Sung, quantum entanglement transmitters are massive devices. They require specialized equipment we don't have." "Not necessarily, sir. The theory is simple enough. If I can create a quantum pair using the exotic matter from our shield generators and connect it to the emergency transmitter, it should punch through their jamming." Another alien energy beam struck the station, and the entire structure shuddered. Emergency lighting flickered as power systems rerouted around damaged sections. "How long do you need?" Hyun-Woo asked. "Give me 30 minutes and whatever crew members you can spare." "You've got it. Take anyone you need." Jae-Sung gathered a team of technicians and engineers, including Won-Sik from engineering and Tai-Min from sensors. They worked frantically in the damaged communications bay, pulling components from destroyed systems and jury-rigging connections that should have been impossible. "This will never work," muttered technician Young-Ho as he welded quantum field generators together with spare parts. "We're trying to build a Ferrari out of bicycle parts." "It doesn't need to work perfectly," Jae-Sung replied, carefully adjusting the quantum alignment matrix. "It just needs to work once, for about 30 seconds. Meanwhile, tactical analyst Dong-Min Yoon compiled all the data they had gathered about the alien fleet. Their weapons cycles, shield frequencies, tactical formations, command structures, everything the human defenders had learned through blood and sacrifice. "The key information is the weapon cooling cycles," Dong-Min explained as he prepared the data package. 8 seconds of continuous fire, followed by 4 seconds of mandatory cooling. Every alien ship follows this pattern without exception. "What else?" Captain Hyun-Woo asked. "Their command structure is highly centralized. When we destroyed their flagship, the entire fleet formation became disorganized for several minutes. They don't seem capable of independent action at the tactical level." "Anything else?" "Yes, sir. They're confused by our willingness to sacrifice ourselves for civilians. Every time we've acted against pure military logic, their response has been delayed or inappropriate. They expect us to behave like machines. And when we don't, it disrupts their tactical planning." Hyun-Woo nodded grimly. "Get all of that into the transmission. If Earth Command receives this information, they might be able to develop better tactics against these aliens." In the communication bay, Jae-Sung's improvised quantum transmitter was finally ready. The device looked like something built by a mad scientist. Wires and components held together with spare metal and determination. "Power levels are stable," reported Won-Sik. "The quantum field is holding, but I don't know for how long." "Long enough," Jae-Sung said, beginning the startup sequence. Taemin, are you getting a clean signal? Affirmative. The jamming field isn't affecting the quantum channel. Thousands of light years away, Admiral Kyung-hee Yu sat in her office at Terra Central Command, reviewing fleet deployment schedules. It was late in the evening, and most of the command staff had gone home for the day. She was just about to leave herself when her emergency communicator started screaming. "Admiral!" Her aide, Lieutenant Commander Junho Park, ran into her office. "We're receiving a priority transmission on the Quantum Emergency Channel. It's from New Busan Colony." Kyung-hee felt her stomach drop. The Quantum Emergency Channel was only used for the most desperate situations. Colony worlds didn't activate it unless they were facing complete destruction. "Put it through to my office immediately." The transmission was full of static and interference, but Captain Hyun-woo's voice came through clearly enough. "This is Captain Kim at New Busan Colony to Terra Central Command. We are under attack by unknown alien forces. Repeat, we are under attack by unknown alien forces. Fleet strength estimated at over 400 vessels using technology far superior to our own." Admiral Kyung-hee grabbed her communicator. "Get me Fleet Command immediately. Emergency priority." Hyun-woo's transmission continued. "Tactical data is included with this message. The aliens can be hurt, but only using specific tactics. They have weaknesses, but conventional military strategy will not work against them." The data package Dongmin had prepared began transmitting through the quantum channel. Weapon specifications, tactical analysis, command structure assessment, everything the defenders of New Busan had learned during their desperate fight. "Our forces are nearly destroyed," Hyun-woo's voice continued. "Civilian evacuation is in progress, but we cannot hold our position much longer. Request immediate military assistance. End transmission." The quantum channel went dead. Back at New Busan, Jae-sung's improvised transmitter had finally burned out, smoke rising from its overloaded components. "Did it work?" Captain Hyun-woo asked. "The data package transmitted successfully, sir. Whatever happens to us, Earth Command now knows about the alien threat." At Terra Central Command, Admiral Kyung-hee was already in motion. Within minutes, she had every senior officer in the fleet reporting to emergency stations. The quantum transmission from New Busan was playing on screens throughout the command center. "What's our closest fleet element to New Busan?" she demanded. "Third Fleet is conducting exercises in the Centauri system," reported Fleet Operations. Commander In-soo Khan. "They could reach New Busan in 6 days if they depart immediately." 6 days? Kyung-hee studied the tactical data from New Busan. "The colony will be overrun in hours, but send Third Fleet anyway. If any survivors are still fighting, they'll need immediate support." "What about the rest of the fleet?" "Full mobilization. Every available ship from every sector. If these aliens are as dangerous as Captain Kim suggests, this isn't just about saving one colony. This could be the beginning of a full-scale invasion of human space." The quantum transmission had done more than just call for help. It had provided Earth's military leaders with the first real intelligence about humanity's new enemy. The tactical data compiled by Dongmin Yoon was already being analyzed by Earth's best military scientists. "Look at this weapon cycling pattern," observed Chief Tactical Analyst Soo-bin Lee as she studied the alien combat data. "It's absolutely consistent across all ship classes. That suggests their technology is highly standardized. What does that tour mean for us? Asked Admiral Kyung-hee. It means once we develop countermeasures that work against one alien ship, they should work against all of them. They don't seem to adapt their technology on the fly like we do. The Admiral studied the fleet. Deployment maps. Gathering humanity's scattered forces would take time, but the information from New Busan had given them something precious: knowledge of how to fight these aliens. How long to develop new tactics based on this data? Give us 72 hours, and we can have a complete tactical doctrine ready for fleet deployment. Back at New Busan, the alien fleet had detected the quantum transmission. They immediately intensified their attack, recognizing that human reinforcements would eventually arrive. Every alien ship began targeting the remaining human positions with increased urgency. But the damage was done. Earth Command now knew about the alien threat, and more importantly, they knew how to fight back. The tactical data purchased with human blood would become the foundation for humanity's counteroffensive. Captain Hyun-woo watched the alien fleet advancing on his broken station and smiled grimly. They might destroy New Busan, but they couldn't destroy the knowledge that was already spreading throughout human space. The message had gotten out. Help was coming. Chief Engineer Seok-jin Park stood in the main engineering bay of Aegis Prime, staring at the massive fusion reactors that powered the defense station. The alien fleet was closing in, and conventional weapons had proven useless against their advanced technology. But Seok-jin had an idea that was either brilliant or insane. "You want to do what?" Captain Hyun-woo asked when Seok-jin explained his plan over the comm system. "Turn the fusion reactors into bombs, sir. If we overload all 3 reactor cores simultaneously, the explosion will be equivalent to a small star going supernova. Any alien ships within 100 kilometers will be vaporized. And us along with them? Yes, sir. But it might take out enough of their fleet to give the evacuation transports time to escape." Captain Hyun-woo was quiet for a long moment. Through the station's viewports, he could see alien ships moving into attack formation. There were still dozens of civilian transports trying to reach the outer settlements. How long would the overload sequence take? 15 minutes to reach critical mass. Once we start the sequence, there's no stopping it. Do it. While Seok-jin began the complex process of overloading the station's reactors, fighter ace Bo-ram, CO, was preparing for one final mission. She had been grounded earlier when her fighter took damage, but the maintenance crew had managed to patch her ship together with spare parts and determination. "This is insane, Bo-ram," said her mechanic, Technician Woo-sung Kim. "Your fighter is held together with prayer and metal tape. It won't survive combat." "It doesn't need to survive," Bo-ram replied, checking her weapon systems. "It just needs to get me close enough." Bo-ram's plan was as desperate as the engineer's reactor overload. She would lead the last squadron of operational fighters in a kamikaze attack on the alien command ship, using their reactor cores as guided missiles. It was a one-way mission, but it might disrupt the alien fleet long enough for more civilians to escape. "All pilots, this is Bo-ram," she announced over the squadron frequency. "We've got 6 fighters left, and the aliens have hundreds of ships. The math doesn't work in our favor. So what's the plan? Asked pilot Sang-Min Cho, whose fighter was in even worse condition than Bo Ram's. We do what humans do best. We improvise. Bo Ram started her engines and felt the familiar vibration of her fighter coming to life. Target the big crystalline ship in the center of their formation. That's their command vessel. If we can take it out, maybe their coordination will collapse again. The 6 fighters launched from Aegis Prime's hangar bay, possibly the last human pilots who would ever fly from the station. Behind them, engineer Seok Jin worked frantically to overload the fusion reactors before the aliens could destroy the station. Reactor 1 approaching critical temperature, reported his assistant, engineer Mi-Young Lee. Containment field is holding, but it won't last much longer. Good. Start the overload sequence for Reactor 2. The alien fleet detected the human fighters immediately. Dozens of energy beams reached across space, turning the darkness into a deadly light show. Pilot Cho's fighter was hit first, exploding in a ball of superheated plasma. 5 left, Bo Ram announced calmly. Keep moving. Don't give them easy targets. But the aliens had learned from previous encounters. Their targeting systems had adapted to human flight patterns, and their coordination was nearly perfect. Another fighter died, then another. Bo Ram, we're not going to make it, called pilot Jun-Hyuk Yoon as his damaged fighter spun out of control. Their defenses are too good. Then we'll have to get creative. Bo Ram's mind raced through possibilities. The aliens expected them to attack from the front, following traditional fighter tactics. All fighters, new plan, we're going around. Instead of flying directly at the alien command ship, Bo Ram led her surviving pilots in a wide arc around the enemy fleet. The aliens tracked their movement but seemed confused by the indirect approach. "What are you doing, Bo Ram?" asked pilot Jae-hyun. "Oh," the last pilot still flying beside her. "Something they won't expect. Trust me." Bo Ram's fighters swung around behind the alien fleet, using the massive ships as cover from the energy weapons. The aliens had concentrated their defenses forward, not expecting an attack from their rear formations. "Now!" Bo Ram shouted. "Reactor overload! Maximum speed!" The 2 surviving fighters accelerated toward the alien command ship from behind. Their reactor cores pushed far beyond safe limits. The aliens detected them too late. Their rear defenses were designed to stop large ships, not small fighters moving at maximum speed. Bo Ram's fighter struck the alien command ship first, her overloaded reactor core exploding deep within the crystalline hull. The explosion tore a massive hole in the ship's superstructure, exposing its inner workings to space. Pilot O followed her in, his fighter disappearing into the breach Bo Ram had created. His reactor detonated inside the alien ship's core systems, causing a chain reaction that rippled throughout the massive vessel. The alien command ship, over 3 kilometers long, began breaking apart. Secondary explosions flashed along its hull as critical systems failed. Within minutes, the entire ship was nothing but debris floating in space. Just as before, the destruction of their command vessel threw the alien fleet into confusion. Ships that had been moving with perfect coordination suddenly became hesitant and disorganized. On Aegis Prime, engineer Seok Jin watched the explosion through his instruments. "The fighters did it. The alien command ship is destroyed. How much longer until reactor overload? Captain Hyun-woo asked. 7 minutes, sir. All 3 reactors are approaching critical mass. Captain Hyun-woo made a decision that surprised everyone. Abort the overload sequence. Sir, the fighters bought us time. The alien fleet is disorganized. Maybe we can use that confusion to evacuate more civilians before we blow the station. Captain, if we abort now, we might not get another chance to overload the reactors. Then we'll have to trust that our sacrifice bought enough time. Hyun-woo looked at the tactical display, where red dots representing alien ships were slowly reorganizing into new formations. How many civilians are still on the surface? Approximately 50,000 in the outer settlements, sir. Then we keep fighting. Seok-jin, shut down the overload sequence, but keep the reactors ready. If the aliens organize another major assault, we'll detonate them. On the planet's surface, Resistance leader Woo Jin-han had been watching the space battle from his makeshift command post in the ruins of Daegu City. When the alien command ship exploded, he saw an opportunity. All resistance units, this is Han, he broadcast on the emergency frequency. The aliens are confused. Now's our chance to hit their ground forces. Woo Jin's resistance fighters had been studying captured alien technology for hours, trying to understand how it worked. Human engineering principles didn't apply to the crystalline devices, but human intuition and adaptability were proving surprisingly effective. I think I've figured out how their personal shields work, reported technician Sora Kim, holding a captured alien energy rifle. The shields are tuned to stop high-energy attacks, but they're not designed for rapid, low-energy impacts. What does that mean? It means their shields will stop our plasma rifles, but probably not a good old-fashioned projectile weapon. Woo Jin smiled for the first time in hours. Then let's go old school. Break out the kinetic weapons. The human resistance fighters began adapting their tactics, using primitive projectile weapons and explosive devices that the alien technology couldn't easily counter. It wasn't much of an advantage, but every small victory helped buy time for more evacuations. Above them, the alien fleet was slowly regaining its coordination. New command ships were taking control, and the perfect formations were returning. But the humans had learned something important during the brief confusion. The aliens were not invincible. They could be hurt, confused, and defeated. Their technology was superior, but their tactics were rigid and predictable. When their command structure was disrupted, they became vulnerable. Captain Hyun-woo watched the alien fleet reorganizing and knew their time was running out. The desperate measures had worked temporarily, but the enemy would soon be ready for another major assault. Seok-jin, begin the reactor overload sequence again. This time, we're not stopping. Understood, sir. 15 minutes to detonation. The final countdown had begun. Aegis Prime would become humanity's last gift to the alien invaders. A funeral pyre that would take as many of them as possible into the darkness. But the sacrifice would not be in vain. Every minute of delay, every alien ship destroyed, Every act of human defiance was buying time for the evacuation and providing valuable intelligence for the human reinforcements that were racing toward New Busan. The aliens had superior technology, but they were about to learn that humans fought differently than any enemy they had ever faced. Admiral Kyung-hee-yu stood on the bridge of her flagship, the massive carrier Incheon, as the human defense fleet emerged from hyperspace. Around her, over 200 human warships materialized in perfect formation, their weapons already charging. For combat. "Fleet status report," she commanded. "All ships operational and ready for engagement," reported Fleet Operations Commander In Suk-han. "We have 47 capital ships, 86 destroyers, and 93 support vessels. Total, fleet strength 226 ships." Through the main view screen, Kyung-hee could see the alien fleet surrounding New Busan. Even after the losses inflicted by the colony's defenders, the aliens still had nearly 300 ships. But the human fleet had something the original defenders didn't have: the tactical intelligence purchased with so much blood. "Communications. Open a channel to all ship commanders," Kyung-hee ordered. The faces of human fleet captains appeared on screens throughout the bridge. These were experienced officers who had studied the New Busan tactical data during their 6-day journey to the colony. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Kyung-hee began, "we know how these aliens fight. They rely on perfect coordination and superior firepower. But they have weaknesses, and we're going to exploit every single one of them." Captain Yoon Kyung Lim commanded the experimental stealth destroyer Ghost of Busan from her position at the fleet's edge. Her ship was equipped with the most advanced cloaking technology humanity had ever developed, making it nearly invisible to conventional sensors. "Ghost of Busan ready for insertion," she reported. "Cloaking systems are fully operational. Proceed." "With infiltration protocol," Admiral Kyung-hee ordered. "Get inside their formation and find their new command ship." The Ghost of Busan vanished from human sensors as its cloaking field activated. Captain Yoon Kyung guided her ship through the outer edges of the alien fleet, moving slowly to avoid detection. The alien sensors were incredibly advanced, but they seemed to have trouble detecting objects that didn't follow predictable patterns. Meanwhile, the main human fleet began implementing the swarm tactics developed from New Busan's intelligence. Instead of engaging in traditional ship-to-ship combat, the human vessels attacked in massive coordinated groups. "All destroyer squadrons, execute attack pattern Delta," Admiral Kyung-hee commanded. "Target the aliens' weapon cooling cycles." 86. Human destroyers broke formation and accelerated toward the alien fleet in small groups. They had studied the 8-second firing cycle, and their attack was precisely timed to exploit the 4-second cooling periods. The first group of destroyers engaged the alien vessels for exactly 8 seconds, then broke away at maximum speed. As soon as the alien weapons entered their cooling cycle, the second group attacked, then the third group, then the fourth. The aliens found themselves under constant attack with no opportunity to return effective fire. Their weapons were more powerful than anything humans possessed, but they couldn't shoot at targets that weren't there during their cooling periods. "It's working," reported Captain Jun-sik Park from the destroyer Seoul. "Their shields are overloading. They can't adapt to this attack pattern." But the aliens were learning too. After losing several ships to the swarm attacks, they began changing their formations. Instead of spreading out, they clustered together so their overlapping fields of fire could cover each other during cooling cycles. "They're adapting," observed Fleet Tactical Officer Minho Bay. "Recommend we change tactics." "Not yet," Admiral Kyung-hee replied. "Captain Lim, what's your status?" Deep within the alien formation, Captain Yoon Kyung had located the aliens' new command vessel. It was even larger than the previous flagship, with multiple layers of protective escorts surrounding it. "I've found their command ship," she reported. "It's heavily defended, but I think I can get close enough for a killing shot." "Proceed, but wait for my signal." Admiral Kyung-hee was coordinating a complex battle plan that required perfect timing. The swarm attacks were keeping most of the alien fleet busy, but she needed to strike at their command structure at exactly the right moment. "All capital ships, prepare for concentrated bombardment. Target the alien fleet's center formation." 47. Human capital ships, battleships, cruisers, and carriers moved into position. Their combined firepower was enormous, but it would only be effective if the aliens were properly distracted. The alien fleet commanders seemed to realize what was happening. They began pulling ships back from the swarm battles to protect their command vessel. But this created gaps in their formation that the human fleet immediately exploited. "Now!" Admiral Kyung-hee shouted. "All ships, execute simultaneous attack!" The human fleet struck with everything they had. Capital ships unleashed massive barrages of plasma fire and kinetic missiles. Destroyer squadrons continued their hit-and-run attacks. Fighter squadrons swarmed around the larger alien ships like angry bees. And in the center of the alien formation, Captain Yoon Kyung's Ghost of Busan decloaked directly beside the alien command ship. "Ghost of Busan firing all weapons," she announced. Her ship's experimental weapons, designed specifically to penetrate alien shielding based on New Busan's intelligence, struck the command vessel at point-blank range. The alien ship's shields collapsed instantly, and secondary explosions rippled along its crystalline hull. The alien command ship tried to return fire, but the Ghost of Busan was too close and moving too unpredictably. Captain Yoon Kyung piloted her ship like a fighter, using its superior maneuverability to stay inside the larger vessel's weapon arcs. "Target their bridge section," she ordered her weapons officer. "Everything we have." The Ghost of Busan's concentrated. Fire punched through the alien ship's armor and struck its command center. The massive vessel shuddered and began losing power as critical systems failed throughout its structure. But the alien ship wasn't finished. With its last functional weapon, it fired an energy beam that struck the Ghost of Busan's port side. The human destroyer's shields failed and atmosphere began venting from multiple hull breaches. "Damage report," Captain Yoon Kyung called out as alarms filled the bridge. "Port engines offline, life support failing, weapon systems damaged," reported her engineering officer. "We're venting atmosphere from decks 3 through 7. "Can we make it back to the fleet?" "Negative, Captain. We're losing power too fast." Captain Eun Kyung looked at the alien command ship, which was also dying but not yet destroyed. She made a decision that would have made the defenders of New Busan proud. "All hands, prepare for ramming speed. We're going to finish what we started." The Ghost of Busan accelerated toward the alien command ship's damaged bridge section. The Aliens tried to destroy the approaching human vessel, but their weapons were too damaged to track effectively. Captain Yoon Kyung's ship struck the alien command center and exploded, taking the enemy flagship with it. For the second time in the battle, the aliens lost their primary command vessel, and just like before, the alien fleet fell into confusion. Without central coordination, their perfect formations began to collapse. Individual ships started making tactical errors, firing at empty space or maneuvering into positions where human ships could attack them effectively. Admiral Kyung-hee saw the opportunity immediately. "All ships, general attack! Hit them while they're disorganized!" The human fleet surged forward, pressing their advantage. Destroyer squadrons targeted isolated alien vessels. Capital ships concentrated their fire on the largest enemy ships. Fighter squadrons swarmed through the gaps in the alien formation. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were losing more ships than the humans. Their technological superiority meant nothing when they couldn't coordinate their attacks effectively. "Admiral," reported Fleet Intelligence Officer Subin Lee, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the New Busan Defense Station. It looks like they're overloading their fusion reactors." Kyung-hee knew what that meant. The heroic defenders of Aegis Prime were making one final sacrifice to damage the alien fleet. She had to make sure their sacrifice counted. "All ships, pull. Back to minimum safe distance. The station is about to explode." The human fleet retreated just as Aegis Prime's 3 fusion reactors reached critical mass. The explosion was visible from halfway across the solar system, a miniature star that consumed everything within 100 kilometers. 12 alien ships were caught in the blast radius and destroyed instantly. The explosion also disrupted the aliens' remaining command structure, throwing their fleet into even greater confusion. When the light faded, Admiral Kyung-hee could see that the tide of battle had truly turned. The alien fleet was scattered and disorganized, while her human forces remained in tight formation. "All ships, continue the attack. We're going to drive these invaders out of human space." The battle for New Busan was far from over, but for the first time, humanity was winning. With the alien fleet in disarray, Admiral Kyung-hee saw an opportunity to do more than just defend New Busan. Her strategic coordinator, Minho Bae, had been analyzing sensor data from the ongoing battle and discovered something important. "Admiral, I've found the source of the alien reinforcements," Minho reported from his tactical station. "There's a massive energy signature behind New Busan's largest moon. Something big is hidden there." "How big?" Kyung-hee asked, studying the sensor. Readings. Preliminary scans suggest a space station approximately 50 kilometers in diameter. It's been shielded from our sensors, but the explosions from Aegis Prime disrupted their cloaking field enough for us to detect it. Admiral Kyung-hee realized the implications immediately. The aliens hadn't just stumbled across New Busan by accident. They had established a staging area for a major invasion of human space, and this colony was just the beginning. "If we don't destroy that station, they'll use it to launch attacks on other human worlds," she said grimly. "All ships, new target priority. We're taking the fight to them." But first, they needed to deal with the remaining alien ships around. New Busan. The enemy fleet was disorganized but still dangerous. and Admiral Kyung-hee couldn't risk leaving hostile forces behind her lines. "Begin Phase 2 operations," she ordered. "Destroyers continue harassment attacks. Capital ships form up for assault on the staging station." Marine Commander Ye-jin Cho received her orders aboard the assault transport Gwangju. Her mission was to capture intact alien vessels that could be used to approach the hidden station without triggering its defenses. "Marines, we're going ship hunting," she announced to her troops over the comm system. "Intelligence needs working alien technology, and we're going to get it for them." Commander Ye-jin had studied every scrap of data about alien ship layouts during the 6-day journey to New Busan. The aliens seemed to design their vessels for maximum efficiency rather than defense against boarding actions. If her Marines could get inside an alien ship, they would have significant advantages in close-quarters combat. "Target that damaged cruiser," she ordered her pilot. "It's venting atmosphere but still intact, perfect for a boarding action." The Gwangju approached the crippled alien vessel carefully, using its own battle damage as camouflage. The alien ship had lost its primary weapons, but was still structurally sound. More importantly, its crew was probably dealing with emergency repairs and wouldn't expect a boarding attack. "Breach pods ready," reported Sergeant Min-woo Kim. "We've got 40 Marines ready to go. Launch when ready. Remember, we need that ship's navigation system intact. Try not to blow anything up unless you have to." The breach pods shot across space and attached themselves to the alien ship's hull. Shaped charges blew holes through the crystalline armor, and human Marines poured into the alien vessel. The interior of the alien ship was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Instead of corridors and rooms, the ship seemed to be one continuous organic structure with flowing passages that curved in impossible directions. "This place makes no sense," muttered Corporal Ji-hoon. As his squad moved through what might have been an engineering section. "Where are the crew quarters? Where do they eat? Where do they sleep?" "Maybe they don't," suggested Private Hae-jin. "Park. Maybe they're machines or something." But they weren't machines. When the Marines encountered the alien crew, they found humanoid beings wearing form-fitting environmental suits that were integrated with their ship's systems. The aliens were tall and thin, with elongated limbs that seemed perfectly adapted for moving through their curved ship passages. The close-quarters fighting was brutal, but brief. The aliens were technologically superior, but they had never faced opponents who fought with human creativity and aggression. Their energy weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat, not close-range battles in confined spaces. "Sector 7 secured," reported Sergeant Kim. "We've captured what looks like their navigation system." "Outstanding. Hold position and wait for the tech teams." Within an hour, Marine Commander Ye-jin had captured 3 alien vessels and turned them over to human engineers and scientists. Xenobiologist Sang-woo Kim was among the first specialists to board the captured ships. "This is fascinating," Sang-woo said as he examined the alien control systems. "Their technology isn't just advanced, it's completely different from ours. They seem to use some kind of biological computer interface." "Can we operate their ships?" Admiral Kyung-hee asked over the comm. "Give me 6 hours, and I think I can figure out the basic controls." "But Admiral, I've discovered something else." These aliens aren't individuals like us. They're connected through some kind of shared consciousness network. What does that mean? It means when we disrupt their command ships, we're not just breaking their tactical coordination. We're literally severing their mental connections to each other. No wonder they become confused and ineffective. This discovery gave Admiral Kyung-hee an idea for attacking the alien staging station. If the aliens relied on collective consciousness for coordination, then disrupting that network would be more effective than conventional weapons. Sang-woo, can you develop a weapon that targets their mental link? Theoretically, yes. If I can analyze their neural connection frequency, I might be able to create an electromagnetic pulse that disrupts their consciousness network. But I'll need time and resources. You'll have both. Min-ho, what's the tactical situation around the staging station? Strategic Coordinator Min-ho Bay had been studying sensor data from the hidden alien base. Heavy defenses, Admiral. At least 50 defensive platforms and over 100 Guardian ships. They've had months to fortify that position. We'll need a way to get close without triggering their defenses, Admiral Kyung-hee decided. Ye-jin, how many captured alien ships do we have operational? 3 cruisers and 2 destroyers, Marine Commander Ye-jin reported. Our people are learning to operate them, but it's slow going. That'll have to be enough. We'll use the captured ships as Trojan horses. Get our assault teams aboard them and approach the station as if we're damaged alien vessels returning from battle. The plan was risky, but it was the best chance they had of penetrating the alien defenses. While Marine Commander Ye-jin prepared her assault teams, xenobiologist Sang-woo worked frantically to develop his consciousness-disrupting weapon. I think I've got it, Sang-woo announced after hours of analysis. The aliens use a specific neural frequency to maintain their collective link. If I can generate an electromagnetic pulse on that exact frequency, it should sever their connections without affecting human brain patterns. How do we deploy it? We'll need to get the device close to their command center. The pulse has limited range, maybe 5 kilometers at most. Admiral Kyung-hee studied the tactical situation. The alien staging station was enormous, with multiple command centers scattered throughout its structure. Getting within 5 kilometers would require infiltrating the station itself. Ye-jin, change of plans. Your Marines are going to have to board that station and plant Sang-woo's device manually. Understood, Admiral. How much time do we have? Not much. Long-range sensors are detecting more alien ships approaching from deep space. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it in the next 12 hours. The captured alien ships approached the staging station slowly, broadcasting identification codes that Sang-woo had extracted from their computer systems. To the station's sensors, they looked like damaged vessels returning from the battle around. New Busan, they're not shooting at us, reported the pilot of the lead ship. I think they're buying it. Inside the captured alien cruiser, Marine Commander Ye-jin and her assault team prepared for the most dangerous mission of their lives. They would have to board the alien station, fight through its defenses, and plant the consciousness-disrupting device at its core. Remember, Sang-woo told them over the comm, you'll only have about 30 seconds after the device activates. Once their consciousness network is disrupted, individual aliens become much less dangerous, but the effect won't last long. 30 seconds to save humanity, Ye Jin muttered. No pressure. The captured alien ships docked with the staging station without incident. The aliens seemed to assume their own ships were incapable of deception, a mistake that would cost them dearly. As soon as the docking clamps engaged, Marine Commander Ye Jin and her teams poured out of the captured ships and into the alien station. The real battle for humanity's future was about to begin. Marine Commander Ye Jin Cho led her assault teams through the corridors of the alien staging station, following the navigation data that xenobiologist Sang-Woo Kim had extracted from captured alien computers. The station's interior was even more bizarre than the ships. A maze of organic passages that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. Command center should be directly ahead. Sang-Woo's voice crackled through her communicator. Look for a large chamber with multiple neural interface nodes. The Marines moved carefully through the alien structure, expecting resistance at every turn. But the station's defenders seemed confused by the human presence. Individual aliens they encountered moved slowly and deliberately, as if they were waiting for orders that never came. Something's not right, muttered Sergeant Min-Woo Kim. These aliens are acting like they're drugged or something. It's their collective consciousness, Sang-Woo explained over the comm. Individual aliens have very little independent thought. They're lost without the network telling them what to do. Commander Ye Jin realized they had stumbled across the aliens' greatest weakness. Their technological superiority came at the cost of individual initiative. When separated from their collective network, they became almost helpless. All teams, advance rapidly to the command center. Don't give them time to coordinate a response. The human Marines fought their way through the station's defenses, but the resistance was disorganized and ineffective. The aliens had powerful weapons and advanced technology, but they couldn't adapt to the unpredictable human assault tactics. Meanwhile, Captain Hyun-Woo Kim had survived the destruction of Aegis Prime by evacuating to an emergency shelter moments before the station exploded. Now he was leading a small team of survivors in an assault on the alien ground forces that had occupied New Busan's surface. The aliens on the ground are acting strange, reported evacuation coordinator Young-Soo Nam, who had refused to abandon the planet despite multiple opportunities to escape. They're just standing around like they're waiting for something. It's the space battle, Hyun-Woo explained. Every time we destroy one of their command ships, the aliens lose coordination. Without central control, they can't function effectively. Young-Soo's civilian volunteers had been studying captured alien equipment for hours, trying to understand how it worked. Engineer Sun-Mi-Oh had made a breakthrough by applying human engineering principles to alien technology. Look at this, she said, holding up an alien energy rifle. Their weapons are incredibly advanced, but they're designed to be operated by the collective consciousness. Individual aliens can barely use them effectively. What does that mean for us? It means we can probably use their own weapons against them, and we'll probably be better at it than they are. Back on the staging station, Commander Ye Jin's Marines had reached the command center. The chamber was enormous, filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with energy. At the center of the room was a massive organic mass that looked like a cross between a computer and a living brain. That's it, Sang-Woo said over the comm. That's the central node for their consciousness network. Plant the disruptor device as close to it as possible. But as the Marines approached the central node, the chamber filled with alien defenders. These weren't the confused individuals they had encountered earlier. These aliens moved with purpose and coordination, suggesting they were directly connected to the command center. "Heavy resistance!" Yejin shouted as energy beams filled the air around her team. "We need covering fire!" The battle for the command center was fierce and desperate. Human Marines used their superior mobility and tactical flexibility to outmaneuver the alien defenders, but the enemy's weapons were devastatingly effective in the confined space. Sergeant Kim fell first, his body armor no match for the aliens' energy weapons. Then Corporal Park, then Private Lee. One by one, the Marines gave their lives to get closer to the central node. "Almost there," Yejin called out as she dove behind cover. The disruptor device was just meters away from the target. But there were still a dozen alien defenders between her and the objective. That's when Captain Hyunwoo's voice came over the comm from the planet's surface. "All units, this is Captain Kim. We've overloaded the planetary defense grid. Electromagnetic pulse incoming in 30 seconds. Yejin realized what he was doing. The survivors on New Busan were sacrificing the planet's remaining infrastructure to create a massive electromagnetic pulse that would disrupt alien systems across the entire solar system. "All Marines, take cover. EMP in 20 seconds. The pulse struck exactly on schedule. Every alien device in the solar system shut down simultaneously. Weapons, shields, life support, everything. The staging station's lights went out, and the HFY Organic Command Center stopped pulsing. In the sudden darkness and silence, Commander Yejin rushed forward and planted Sang-woo's consciousness disruptor directly against the central node. The device activated with a high-pitched whine that seemed to penetrate directly into her brain. The effect on the aliens was immediate and catastrophic. Throughout the station, alien defenders collapsed as their collective consciousness network was severed. Individual aliens, cut off from the collective for the first time in their lives, stood motionless in complete confusion. "It worked!" Sang-woo shouted over the comm. "The network is down! The aliens are completely disorganized!" Admiral Kyung-hee-yu received the report aboard her flagship and immediately ordered a general attack. "All ships, advance on the staging station. The aliens have lost coordination. Hit them with everything we have." The human fleet surged forward, attacking the now defenseless alien facilities. Without their collective consciousness, the aliens couldn't coordinate their defenses or even operate their most advanced weapons effectively. But Admiral Kyung-hee wasn't satisfied with just winning the battle. She wanted to understand her enemy and make sure they could never threaten human space again. "Sang-woo, what exactly are we dealing with here?" The xenobiologist had been analyzing the alien command center during the battle. "They're a hive mind species, Admiral. Individually, they're not much more intelligent than animals. Their technological advancement comes from the collective consciousness that links them all together. What happens when we disrupt that consciousness? They become helpless. Individual aliens can't think independently, can't make decisions, can't even operate their own technology effectively. We've essentially lobotomized their entire species. Admiral Kyung-hee considered the implications. The aliens had invaded human space, expecting to face another collective consciousness like their own. They had never encountered a species where every individual could think and act independently. That's why they couldn't understand our tactics, she realized. When we acted against pure military logic, sacrificing ourselves for civilians, fighting hopeless battles, refusing to surrender, it completely confused them. Exactly. Their tactical models assumed we would behave rationally according to collective benefit. They never anticipated individual humans making irrational decisions based on personal values. The alien fleet around New Busan was surrendering, or retreating through the same dimensional rifts they had used to arrive. But they left behind something valuable: advanced technology and a clear understanding of how to fight similar enemies in the future. Captain Hyun Woo stood on the surface of New Busan, watching alien ships disappear into hyperspace. The planet was badly damaged, but it could be rebuilt. More importantly, humanity had gained something precious from the struggle. "What happens now?" asked Young-soo Nam, looking at the devastation around them. "Now we rebuild," Hyun-woo replied. "But we rebuild stronger. We know what's out there now, and we know how to fight it." 6 months later, Admiral Kyung-hee Yoo stood before the assembled leaders of human space in the rebuilt colonial capital of New Busan. The planet had become a symbol of human resilience and the headquarters for humanity's new deep space defense force. "The New Busan Defense Protocol is now operational," she announced. "Early warning sensors throughout human space, rapid response fleets equipped with alien technology, and most importantly, tactical doctrine based on what we learned here." The assembled leaders listened as she continued. "We discovered that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our numbers. It's our ability to think independently, to make decisions based on individual conscience rather than collective logic." Captain Hyun-woo Kim, now appointed as New Busan's military governor, stepped forward to address the gathering. "The aliens expected us to behave like machines, calculating odds, making rational decisions, abandoning the weak when it became strategically necessary. They never understood that humans fight for each other, not just for strategic objectives." Dr. Sang-woo Kim presented his findings about the alien species to the scientific community. "We've learned that collective consciousness civilizations may be more common in the galaxy than individual-based societies like ours. This gives us both an advantage and a responsibility." "What kind of responsibility?" asked Governor Chul-soo from the rebuilt planetary administration.